Hello, artists. Today we're going to be inspired by Vincent van Gogh and his sunflower paintings. Vincent van Gogh sold very few paintings during his lifetime, but today he is one of the most beloved and well known artists across the world. He lived in poverty and his life was very difficult, but his paintings were full of joy and life, especially his sunflower paintings. He loved sunflowers and thought of them as representing gratitude. So today we're going to use this particular sunflower painting of Vincent van Gogh as our inspiration. He did many, but this one I chose simply because it's a little simpler painting than some of the others. There are only 3 sunflowers. Notice that this one is a little farther away than these two. This one is pointing down just a little bit and is a different variety of sunflower. This one faces us with its beautiful sunny face. There are leaves in the picture, a green vase, and a tabletop with lots of texture and color. And Van Gogh's paintings were known for their texture. If you ever get to go to a museum and see one hanging, you'll see that they have a lot of texture in them, which means that the paint is thick in some places. We're going to be using oil pastels today. So that means that your picture is going to be a softer looking with a little less texture simply because oil pastels are a softer medium to work with. So here's my version, and I am going to show you how to make your own. So right now, we just need a piece of paper and we need your chalk pastels. And we're going to be looking at this picture as we work. The first thing we want to do is to draw our 3 main sunflowers and our vase on our paper. And I'm going to be using just yellow chalk to do that. So I'm going to draw 1 circle up here for the high sunflower, another circle here for the one facing down, and then 1 circle here for the one facing forward. And I don't have to make my circles perfect because we're going to be going over this with our chalks. The next thing I want to do is draw the vase shape. Doesn't have to be perfect, but just the basic shape of the vase, and then the table line behind it. Now I want to draw the stem of this sunflower, and I want to draw some kind of simple leaf shapes of the leaves that are coming down off the vase and behind the sunflowers. Okay, so now I have my basic shapes of the picture, and I'm going to take my blue and I am going to make the background color. So I'm going to be using the whole side of my chalk instead of the edge of my chalk to do this. And I'm basically just going to go over it and around the shapes that I made. And as we do this picture, you're going to notice that we go over our chalks quite often. We're going to be layering our color. And I highly recommend that when you're working with your chalk pastels that you do it on a piece of newspaper or some paper towel so it's an easy cleanup. And also you want to have a damp paper towel ready, not super wet, just damp for the tips of your fingers. Because as you touch the chalk and you work with your picture, your fingers are going to get a little dirty. So you want to have a damp paper towel, maybe some tissues. Sometimes people like to wipe their chalks off. Okay, so now I am going to take my white. Remember I talked about layering. We're going to layer another color on top of the blue. And I'm going to take my white and I'm going to just put that everywhere. Okay, and yeah, there'll be a little bit of blue on the side of my white chalk. I can just wipe that off. Now I'm going to take one finger and I am going to rub around the outside of my flowers and get my background color. Now, sometimes when you do this, you'll get extra chalk. You want to be really careful with that. And you don't want to blow your chalk away. That doesn't do anything. It can spread onto other pieces of your paper. So you're just going to pick it up and very gently tap the excess off. All right, I'm going to wipe my finger off. Now I'm going to take my yellow chalk and I'm going to make the centers of my flowers. Even though they're not all yellow, it's just to let me know where those centers are. And now I'm going to use my chalk on its side on this first big sunflower, and I'm just going to fill that in somewhat. I'm going to go back over that with other color too. With this one, I want to start making the petal shapes. And the petal shapes just kind of go out from the center. And it's going to kind of mix a little bit with your blue background chalk. Don't worry about that. We're going to go back over this again. And like I said, we're going to do a lot of layering today. Next, I'm going to go over the leaves of this facing forward sunflower. And they are very tangled, pointy, and they end about right there. All right, next I'm going to take my orange chalk and I'm going to add some texture to this sunflower. And I'm just making these little dots wherever I see the orange and Van Gogh sunflower. I'm just going to add some extra dots in here. Go around. Okay, I'll leave that for now. Now, the circle here on the inside has some orange, so I'm going to add that. And I'm going to add some orange to the petals. So I'm going to layer these petals with some orange. Same thing here. Going to add some layers of orange on my picture. Extra petals of orange. All right, and then orange in the center. And I'm going to take my finger and I'm just going to make that a little smoother and very gently with my finger, kind of brush outwards. You can't do that really, really hard with your finger because it'll make the orange disappear, but you want to be very, very gentle. There, I'm going to wipe my fingers. Now I'm going to take the brown. Like I said, we're going to do a lot of layering today. So I'm going to add some brown, and I'm using the edge of my chalk. I'm going to add some brown to this flower. Not a ton, but also in the middle. And some brown to this flower too. And I'm just using the edge of my chalk. Okay, this flower has a lot of texture and brown in its center. So I'm going to use the edge of the chalk. And once again, like when I made these little strokey marks, I can add a little brown here because you can see it's dark right there where the two flowers kind of touch. So I'm just going to make some short little strokes. A lot of Van Gogh's brushwork was very quick and short little brush strokes to create texture. So I want to do that on that sunflower. I also want to put some towards the middle and then a little brown ring around the outside of this sunflower. Okay. Now, I'll work on this one in a second. but I'm going to start on the leaves, and we're going to be using green, brown, and yellow to create the leaves. So the first thing I want to do is make my leaf outline with my green, and you can see that this green is very different from Van Gogh's more olive green. So to create that, I'm going to fill it in a little bit, and then take my finger and very gently blend it, wipe it off, and then I'm going to take my brown, and I'm going to use my brown on the inside of the leaf here. And then I'm going to blend it. And that creates a more olive looking green. And then I'm going to take yellow, and I'm going to add the yellow to my leaf. Blend it. Okay, so I think I need to bring some more green back here. Blend that away. There. Okay, there's one leaf. Now I'm going to come up here and go around this sunflower with its leaves. This one is also more of an olive green. And so once again, I'm going to add my brown. All right, and then I'm going to blend it. And then add a little more yellow. All right, I'm going to wipe my finger on my paper towel. And now I'm going to work on this sunflower right here before I go up in here with the leaves. So I'm going to bring my yellow back. I just want to add some more here. It's going to blend a little bit with that orange. That's okay. I'm going to take my red and I'm going to add some more extra texture. I'm just dotting my color. I'm going to take my green and add the green to the center and blend that just a little bit, and then a little more yellow on top of everything. Okay, now I'm going to create the stem and the leaves up here. Now, what's interesting is Van Gogh used dark blue for this stem and these, they're like petals or leaves up here at the top. So let's get out our dark blue. Before I do though, I want to make sure where my stem was right here. Okay, dark blue. And then this leaf shape, dark blue, and this leaf shape. All right, now I want to add this leaf here. Again, add my green. And that leaf is pretty bright green, so I'm just going to leave that there. Okay, bring my background in here a little more. And good, so I wipe my finger off on my paper towel. You can see I've got little finger marks everywhere just to keep my finger clean when I go to be blending. All right, now I'm going to make my vase. And my vase is several colors. It's green, but it also has some dark green, which we'll create with some black. It has yellow, it has a little bit of blue, and of course it has white. So where it's white, especially down here, I'm not super worried about the highlights, but down at the bottom there, I'm actually just going to leave it white because my paper is white. If your paper is a different color though, you can use your white chalk to create that. But right now, I'm going to draw this part of the vase. This part's going to stay white down here, but I am going to draw the bottom of it just so I know where that is. And I'm just going to fill it in with the green. And I don't have to fill it in all the way because I'm going to blend it with my finger. Have a nice outline of the base here. and blend with my finger very gently, trying to cover up any white spots. Okay. Now I'm going to wipe my finger and I am going to use some yellow on this side of the base. As you can see, there's a little bit of yellow there. And a little bit of my blue right here. Blend that a little bit, very softly. Now, I need to add the dark color up underneath here. So that's a shadow. We don't have that really dark green. So we're actually going to use our black now. We have to be real careful with this color because it tends to take over things. So I'm just going to add a little bit of black in here. Not much, you can see. Very, very little. And then blend with the green. And that creates my shadow underneath. And there's a little shadow over here. So I'm going to add that black too. Just a little bit. And there's some shadow up here. So I'm just going to add a little teeny bit of the black. Now I'm also going to add some black to this part of the inside of this flower. And I'm going to add a little bit of black in here because this was a shadow. And there's some spots of black around this part of the sunflower. I'm going to blend that just a little bit. You don't want to blend a lot because otherwise it will just blend all the color away. Just a little bit. There we go. All right, now there's also black along the table line. And there's a little bit of black on the outline of the base, just a little bit. So I'm going to add that, and especially down here at the bottom. So let the rest of that be white, but you want to add a little black here. All right, next thing we're going to do is our table. We're back down to the table now, and I am going to use my brown chalk, and I am going to pretty much put brown everywhere. Now you'll notice that Van Gogh's brush strokes go across the table. So I don't want to go down with my chalk. I want to work in the same direction as those brush strokes. So I want to work across. And this is a combination of lots of colors. So I'm going to basically kind of leave this here with my brown, take my finger and blend it some. Now, I'm just going to have fun with this. I'm going to use my yellow first, and I'm going to just make those strokes across, just like Van Gogh did. All the way across. All right, next I'm going to take my orange. I'm going to do the same thing, creating this nice texture on the table. Next, I am going to take some red. Once again, adding that texture onto the table. Lots of cool colors here. And last, I'm going to use a tiny bit of blue. There's some blue on the table here. Kind of reflects the wall. So I'm just going to add a little bit of blue. All right. And last, one more time, I'm going to take my black and I'm going to make some marks here across the table line. This is a shadow on this side of the base and the floor and the table here. All right, here we go. Last, I'm going to take my white and I will put some white here as the reflection. It's not going to show up as strongly as the paint would. And I want to blend my black just a tiny bit so it's not so strong. Here we go. All right, I want to look at my picture and see if there are any areas that I want to now clean up and make a little better. And I think I want to add a little bit of the blue background back here. So there's not white there in the picture. And I want to add some red to this part of this sunflower to make the center stand out just a little more, and some red over here too. All right, I could add a little red to this part of the sunflower. Okay, all right, so there we have it, a copy of Van Gogh's Sunflowers in chalk pastel. And you can see it looks similar, but this is a softer looking picture because it's not done in paint. I hope you enjoyed this project today. I look forward to seeing your creations. That's all for today, artists.